that note, we're going to pause and kick it over to Dustin Minch, head of mining analytics for CoinGenius, to hear all about the BTC halving and everything else that's happening in the mining universe. Dustin, would you like to take it away?
Yeah, thanks, Kristina. So yeah, the Bitcoin halving has been kind of an event that's been building up. I think that based on what I've seen in the Facebook groups, there was a lot of disappointment. I think that, some of the new people to crypto expected, were sold on the idea, this big hype idea that once the halving hit, boom, Bitcoin was going to take off. And I think that, we've been kind of, kicking this like a dead horse in stating that that is not going to be the case, that, the price is probably going to go fall back down some. I do remember being on the phone call with Jeremy Bourne, and I didn't know the exact days, but he said it was right around 524, maybe 584 days before Bitcoin created another all-time high from the last halving. So I think that we can kind of take that, that fractal and put that into perspective that, it's still going to be maybe another year and a half before things get crazy. Also too, with the global economy being affected with all this, virus pandemic stuff, that might throw a monkey wrench in it. And so what I'm really paying attention to and trying to analyze right now is, I know that there's still a bunch of the older Bitcoin miners mining on the network, the S9s. And so I suspect that either there's one or two things that are going to happen. You're going to see a drastic drop in the network hash rate because those S9s are going to go offline because, these large mining farms just aren't going to be able to afford to mine at a loss. Nobody with that much capital invested is going to mine at a loss. No smart business person would, right? So I think that maybe some of that hardware will get pushed to the lowest common denominator. Maybe there's some big farm in China that, gets free electricity or something like that. And that's where that hardware will get shifted to. I don't know. I don't know much about the large mining farm operations and their electric rates over there, but there is some speculation that they do get, in some areas, I don't know how they manage it, but they get like free electricity. So it'll be interesting to see how that shakes out. But I was running the numbers on the new S19 Bitcoin miner, and I think it makes somewhere around right now on a 10-cent electric rate, even though it's probably, I don't know how much more efficient. It's about 10 times more efficient than the S9 or the S9, but it's only making like $3.49 a day right now. So it'll be kind of interesting to see how this unfolds. And, I think that, these large mining farms that have negotiated a really good electric rate, that have finally got the new hardware in their hands and they're slowly getting that stuff online, those are going to be the ones that benefit from it the most. So as for myself, I kind of wanted to buy an S19, but I'm going to wait it out because I know that there's rumor of the 5 nanometer chipset that's going to be coming out. So there may even be, an S20, or I don't know how they label these things. It'd probably be like an S21 or something like that, that could come out before we start really seeing some big mining profits on the Bitcoin mining side of things. I don't know if you had any questions about that or anything that you wanted to kind of chime in, or any questions for me on that, but that's kind of what I'm seeing on my end, or thinking anyways.
Awesome. So I would, just in terms of like the theme of haves and have-nots, let's talk a little bit. Some of the haves are about to kind of slide into the have-nots, right? There's going to be a thinning in terms of BTC mining, and mining in general, as you commented, still tends to roll up to BTC. BTC still is the king of the castle on both the trading and the mining side of things, at least in terms of how the predominant masses are thinking about these terms, which is still a small subset of the general population, but
right.
That's okay. So when we talk about haves and have-nots, what can an average person do to get into mining? And I know that we've talked almost on the institutional scale is kind of the biggest thing that we can make a difference of, where there are free energy or green tech energy solutions. Anything that kind of comes as discounted energy is an optimal place to leverage mining. And you've mentioned that many times. You've also mentioned, that you can see a future where there's an air conditioning unit hanging out of someone's apartment window, and that is also a miner generating revenue. A lot of things are happening in the industry, is like forks and different divergencies are happening. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about your vision of the path for every person to be able to get into mining. I know that's a big pipe dream, but
Yeah.
a little bit of what that might look like over the next year or so.
Well, and I think that that's where most of my focus lies, is just the average everyday miner, because kind of, I'm not some big capital investor. I don't have, $10 million, a $10 million operation going. For the average at home miner, am I pretty large in size? Yes, I've kind of overdone it, but, I was talking with Jeremy Bourne, and I think that, I'm kind of on the popular belief that I suspect that some of these altcoins are going to start pumping pretty hard. Now, that could be 3 or 4 months from now. I've talked to a lot of miners. They're suspecting somewhere around September, October is when that stuff's going to really kick in. And I think that that's, for the average everyday miner at home, that's where the big profits are going to be made. So, getting some graphics cards, because here's the thing,
How do you evaluate that, Dustin? I mean, we've talked a little bit around your mining calculator. You have certain levels of equipment. There are certain coins that you yourself either would or would not be getting into. And you said certain altcoins, there's like 4,000 of them. So because the mining will drive the price, will drive the mining, will drive the price, right? There's definitely a handhold there. How do you evaluate something that, that might be profitable in September to start mining now so that you have it? I mean, your brain thinks that way. I know it does. I just don't know how to calculate it and automate it yet.
Well, I think the biggest thing is just doing the research, making sure that the project doesn't have a heavy pre-mine. An acceptable level of pre-mine would be 5% max. And you better have a good reason and a solid roadmap in place for me to accept that 5% pre-mine. And some, because a lot of people, they don't realize, I mean, Bitcoin technically did have kind of a borderline pre-mine. I mean, Satoshi Nakamoto was able to mine over 1 million Bitcoin into a wallet. Now he hasn't, nobody knows who he is. He hasn't touched that. So, but that's the biggest thing, is looking into the pre-mine. The other thing is just looking at the use case and the team, obviously. So, does this project have a legit use case? Can you see it being adopted? And then I look at kind of like community and engagement. So like, I'll check the Bitcoin talk. If that project does not have a Bitcoin talk announcement, there's about a 99.9% chance I will not touch that project with a 10-foot pole. I know a lot of people don't like Bitcoin talk, but I feel like if you're going to be any kind of sizable, legitimate blockchain company, it takes you can hire somebody for $20 to build your Bitcoin announcement or Bitcoin talk announcement. So the thing that I really like about that is there's a lot of OGs in Bitcoin talk. And so if there's any flaws or scams in the code, people are going to find out about it right away. I mean, we see clones of Dash Coin coming out of the woodworks, and they get called out right away. It's like you just took the code from that project, slapped it, and put a new label on it. So those projects are kind of dead to me. But like, I think that, coins like Ethereum, I'm not a huge fan of Litecoin, but I'm not saying that you shouldn't look into mining it, but it's kind of been an afterthought in the mining scene. I don't see it mentioned a lot, but then you get some CPU mineable coins, kind of like, Pegnet, which is just partnered with Chainlink, and, the Factom dev team and the Ethereum dev team are actually the team behind that whole project. And I truly believe in what Factom's doing. I truly believe in what Ethereum's doing. So those are going to be great coins to kind of hold on to. Now, nobody knows for certain. I think the biggest thing is to diversify your portfolio when you're mining. So, if you only got, maybe say you got $1,000 and you're like, I want to get into mining. Okay, great. Well, I would suggest you build like a gaming PC, something that you can multi-purpose, that you can still use, but when it's not in use, you can mine cryptocurrencies like Raven Coin. You can still accumulate a decent amount of Raven Coin right now. With just a few GPUs. And then, the plan is to hang on to those long-term, wait till those assets go up in value, obviously sell some of your portfolio, and then decide to kind of reinvest your initial get your initial investment back, but then take some of your profits and reinvest that. And maybe you bought 2 graphics cards that first time, next time you buy 3 or 4, and you kind of hedge into it that way. Which, Ravencoin, they recently forked to a mineable algorithm called Kapow, which basically it's a hybrid version of pragmatic POW, or proof of work. And long story short, it's just a hashing algorithm that utilizes 80% of a graphics card. So if you wanted to develop an ASIC miner or an FPGA miner, you basically would have to build a graphics card to be able to mine on that network. So what's interesting about that project recently is a bunch of FPGA miners and ASIC miners were developed. They were secretly mining on the network. When that project hard forked I think it was last week, we've seen almost, the network hash rate went from 34 terahashes all the way down to a terahash. So, that's going to kind of make GPU mining more interesting, because there are a lot of coins out there that the project only wants to be mined with a GPU. They don't want to have ASICs. And I think the biggest reason for that is because it causes a severe form of centralization in the mining community. So, GPU mining, you can
I ask a clarifying question really quick? So you're talking about like Tron Black and the Ravencoin team basically made it harder for the big boy miners to mine it and made it easier for the little guy GPUs guys to mine it, because that's ultimately where they want the miners to be anyway. So they fixed the code to optimize it for the target miners, is what I'm hearing. Is that correct?
Right. Yeah, I think. Well,
thumbs up, Tron Black. All right.
Yeah, no kidding,
nice
right?
Job,
I try to tell everybody, and I think that, really the thing about mining cryptocurrency is you have to create an ecosystem that's fair and give everybody a fair fighting chance to be able to participate. These are decentralized networks, so they need to stay decentralized at the highest form on all levels. Now, Bitcoin, I hate to say it, it's decentralized as a currency, but on the mining side, it is getting heavily centralized. There's a lot of ASICs that are being manufactured underground. When Bitmain sells us the S19, they probably already have a 3rd or 4th generation above that they're using secretly, and they probably have private investors. I'm not,
to do that. Yeah, there's
they've been accused of this.
Wrong with that. Yeah,
right.
There's nothing wrong with that in terms of like, of Bitmain. There's always some kind of like R&D labs that they're kind of testing things out before you release your public product. That's normal in technology. So I would.
Yeah, but at what scale? At what scale though? Is it 10,000 miners? Is it 20,000? Do you have like a backdoor promotion?
You're doing the analysis on the market. All I can tell you is that BTC is the grandfather right now and is the one that most folks find the most value in. I truly believe in the next 10 years that there are going to be other technology developments that are stronger than BTC. Keep in mind, BTC is almost bomb-proof from the math standpoint, but it was built to track Magic the Gathering cards. That was its original use case. It just tends to be really, really good on the math part, where it doesn't matter what the use case was anymore. When we see other products start to compete at that math level where it's truly decentralized, you kind of need that that math brain, that computer brain plus the human brain, right? The collective intelligence of it, not just AI and not just all math. You see that with BTC. It is what it is, and there's nothing governing it. Satoshi doesn't need to come back. There's there's Bitcoin, code developers, but like the core of it isn't changing. If you want something to compete with Bitcoin, you have to have something that is mathematically as sound as Bitcoin and has that transfer of wealth ability, right? So that actual transactional value ability. So the other coins that are coming out there like that, Litecoin might be close to it. Doge is the closest thing that comes to my mind because it's more math-based than it is, human-based. But there's a ton of other altcoins and other use cases that are coming out. And I'd say the stronger the use case and the stronger the math, the more likely you want to be mining that coin as a potential, value add to your portfolio later down the line. It's a little speculative. If you do your research, you'll be aligned with coins that are more profitable than if you just pick one and throw it, throw a pin at the dartboard.
Right. And and here's the other thing I want to mention is, 4 or 5 years ago, this wasn't very possible, but you know, you can still actually earn Bitcoin with a graphics card. You're not going to mine on Bitcoin's network directly, but you know, there's software, NiceHash. I'm not a fan of NiceHash too much, but a lot of people use it because it's easy to download. And then there's like, you know, software like CUDA Miner, which I find myself mining on CUDA Miner quite a bit. And basically what that software does is it runs a series of benchmarks, figures out what altcoin is most profitable for your hardware to mine based on the mining difficulty, price, metrics, all this stuff. It does all this for you. And then when you get those coins mined, it takes it to the exchange, auto exchanges it in Bitcoin for you. And I think that, you know, for the average bear, because I mean, these new ASIC miners, they're 3,200 watts on 220 pulling from the wall. You're not going to plug one of these things and just run it in your living room. It's not going to be a pleasant, first of all, it's going to be hot. Second of all, it's going to be loud. Did I mention it's loud? You know what I mean? Like these things that just, they're not made to be ran, you know, for the average person. But, you know, I think that GPU mining, it opens up that door so that so many more people can participate. I mean, if you think about all the gamers that are out there playing games, I mean, there's a lot of, I think there's a lot of gamers that still didn't even know that they can mine and kind of offset the cost of buying that hardware for gaming too. So like, I think that there's a lot of that market that still is, you know, needs the right product to be marketed to them. And we can earn a lot of that too as well. And I think that, because I know a lot of people are asking me, well, if we got Bitcoin, why do we need all these other coins, right? You know, why do we have to have all these other cryptocurrencies to mine, and what's the point? And it's, it really boils down to this is, you know, in the developing world, we got all these different coding languages and they all need to kind of talk to each other, right? They you know, you got Python, you got JavaScript, you got HTML, C#, all these, you know, all these different levels of coding language, and you got new ones coming out like React.js, which is it's newer, right? And so I think it's kind of the same thing with cryptocurrencies too. And I think that, you know, because there's not going to be, you know, a one size fits all plug for this. And so, you know, each one of these cryptocurrencies kind of serve, the good ones anyways, serve a specific use case. And so that's kind of the reason why, you know, you'll see, these coins just kind of coming out of the woodworks. 90% of them are probably not going to make it, but you know, that's kind of my MO, is to kind of hunt these coins down when they're brand new, find them like Handshake, Pegnet, things like that. That's part of the fun of it for me, is to be able to find these things and bring them to the table to people and be like, look what I brought you, a new coin to mine, you know? And I think that a lot of people that are new to mining, their eyes kind of light up and they want to be part of that gold rush of being able to be the first miners to be able to mine that and accumulate a bag and then just forget about it for a couple of years. And if it goes up, great. And, you know, but again, that circles back to my master plan, is to diversify myself. Because I mean, if you look at coins like Ethereum, if you could have CPU mined Ethereum when that first came out, oh my gosh, you would have so much money. Same with Litecoin. You know, a lot of these other projects that you can mine through proof of work, you know, the idea is just to get in early, hang on, and ride that wave up. So that's kind of what I preach to people, you know, and I know there's a lot of people that want to get into Bitcoin mining, but it's like, you know, you need the infrastructure and the capital to be able to do that. So it kind of sets a low barrier.
I want to be the CEO. Like, that's like someone coming up to you going, so I really want to be the CEO of Amazon. Like, cool, yeah. Dude. Do you know how much work it's going to take to get there?
Yeah.
So yeah, I totally hear you on that one. Talk to me a little bit about what Crypto Miner Tips is doing in these last few weeks, and just kind of what you're seeing from your direct community.
So I am seeing a lot of, you know, there's a lot of people that are joining the group. I probably, in my Facebook group, I'm adding 20 to 30 new people every single day. I don't know where they're coming in at. I don't have a tracking code. I have no idea how they're finding me. But, you know, I think that, you know, there's just the same old new questions. There's two types of people. There's one type of person that knows that they can't mine Bitcoin feasibly, but they got some old laptops and stuff, and they still want to tinker around, right? And I got, you know, a way for them to do that. And then there's the other type that are just like, hey, I want the best Bitcoin miner. I want to be able to mine, you know, and then I have to explain to them like, listen, even with the best hardware, you probably are not going to be able to mine a whole Bitcoin in even a year. And they kind of get disenchanted. And it's like, I kind of wonder, like, what articles are they reading before they find me that's giving them this idea that they can still do this? Like,
so my question goes the opposite way, which is, how do I educate them when it's you? There's other things to do besides what they thought brought them to you. It's like reading a menu, right? They're like, oh, I heard about this great special that all these people raved about. Do you still have the special? No, that special's gone, but we have all of these other things on the menu here for you.
Right. And well, and I think that, you know, they're not disenchanted for too long, and I can kind of talk them in, you know, talk more about that with them. But, you know, they kind of, you know, they shrug their shoulders a little bit, and their heads down. It's like, it's okay. Like there's still tons of opportunity out there. I believe, not financial advice, but I still believe there is. And I think that, you know, there's still some platforms out there that kind of sell cryptocurrency mining as the, you know, the get rich quick scheme. And it's not. It's an investment strategy. It's a long-term strategy. And you're going to have to, you know, buy some hardware and start off small, you know. And then there's a lot of other investors that are looking to get into cloud mining. And you know how I feel about cloud mining. I mean, most of the platforms, you're not going to get your money. I mean, why would they pay you all that money when they could mine the cryptocurrency themselves and just pocket it? So obviously the money's to be, you know.
Yeah. There's a lot of like collective groups that say, oh, chip in and we'll do all the hard work for you. Please do your research on those. Those are really, right now at this point in the industry, those I would still call 90% scams. I have to do my research on all of them, but that's what CoinGenius is doing. We're doing the research on all of these new tokens. We're explaining to you, the audience, what the use case is, who the people are behind it, and just really how it fits into the system if you should be mining it, if you choose to do so. There's other kinds of mining, Dustin, and we're going to have to wrap up for today, but one of the things that I try to get folks to understand about is this concept of tokenized economies, which is you as the user are in a system and you are earning tokens by doing what you would already be doing in that system anyway, whether it's a social messaging platform or Brave browser, right? Where you're browsing on your Google browser anyway. If you browse with Brave, you earn these coins. These are ways to earn coins that have nothing to do with having to purchase mining equipment. And I think that that's another portion that we need to kind of include here and hash it out, which is how can people earn passive income through cryptocurrencies? There's a lot of these channels that you can do, and it's not very public information. So as I'm getting kind of intake with the partners and the people in the ecosystem, I'll also be passing it along to Team Genius to kind of say, all right, this is available. Let's make sure we let the audience know, and kind of folding that into our narrative here and your collective work over at Crypto Miner Tips, which is partnering with CoinGenius and will be available on the website soon. So we're going to have a whole bunch of crossover there.
Nice. Yeah. And I did want to mention, you know, I found an exchange that's actually selling that Pi cryptocurrency, the coin that you can mine on your cell phone. And, you know, it's trading at 34 cents. So I don't know. I mean, I got a couple thousand of them on my cell phone. So I managed to accumulate like $800 worth of this cryptocurrency for just being one of the beta testers to be the first to like download the app, log into it daily. But, you know, there are some, you know, there's some legit platforms out there. Now you know, you're kind of getting into a gray area with, I call them airdrops or faucets or whatever, because it's not like you're putting forth hardware. But there are, you know, Brave browser is a very legit product. And I've seen people, you know, it takes a little bit of work, but that is a way for them to earn cryptocurrency if they don't have a means to, you know, if you don't have money, you can still earn cryptocurrency. You're just going to have to do a little bit more work. But I think that, you know, here at CoinGenius, I think that we could put together some kind of nice PDF guide or something like that for them. So that way, if people don't have any money, we still have a channel that we can push them towards and be like, you know, hey, you know, this is what you can do if you don't have any money, you know, and kind of work your way up that way too. Yeah,
I
I
would
think it'd be
love that.
cool.
I know that I had downloaded the XYO coin app not too long ago because it was just, you put it on as you're driving around for your geolocation. I mine like 12,000 coins. I have no idea what they're listed on. I have no idea if they're worth anything. I have no
Yeah.
idea if they're going to be worth anything. But I'd love to do a deep dive into that, because if they are worth something, I would be telling all my friends and family, like, all right, well, you use Waze and Waze is there. You're like, why not earn money anytime you're using Waze? It's exactly what I did. And I racked up 12,000 in like 3 months before I turned it off.
Yeah, they even got Bravo Coin, which is kind of like Yelp,
Mm-hmm.
but it's for cryptocurrency, and
Yeah.
you can get paid in Bravo Coin for just writing reviews. Now, I mean, I feel like
There's
there's going to be some
games that
biased
have
reviews on
coins.
that platform, but
Yeah, I mean, I can't promise you guys good content out of all of it, but I can tell you guys can earn some coins by participating in doing things that you guys
yeah,
already do. And that's just something that not a lot of people are even aware of as a possibility. And as we move into the next 12 months of, hey, how do I pick up a side hustle? You know, if you're just choosing a browser and that makes more money in your pocket, why wouldn't you do that? And I don't know for sure if it does. I'm going to do my research on that before I pass it over to you guys.
yeah,
But I think that's something that we should be undertaking in our research labs.
yeah. And to kind of wrap things up too, back, to the Bitcoin halving thing, I think that, we're going to see some shifts in mining hardware prices. Cause like I've noticed that Bitmain will dramatically drop the price on their mining hardware if, the mining's not profitable, to kind of entice people to buy that hardware. That's kind of been their motive from day one. When the Bitcoin mining profits are way up, the mining hardware prices are way up too. When the mining profits are low, they'll try to lower the price to, entice users to sign up for that. So I think that, moving forward over these next 3 or 4 months, it'll be interesting to see, because, the S9 was one of their flagship miners. I mean, that thing was profitable for about 2 years based on the data that I've tracked. But then they had the S15, it flopped, not profitable. Then they had the S17, lots of issues, it flopped. So now they got the S19, not very profitable. So it would be, and then there's speculation that they have this new 5 nanometer chipset. So that might even create another efficient miner. So it's interesting to see if this is going to be the next S9 model, this S19, if this is going to be another flagship model that's going to be profitable for 2 years, or, do we have to wait for a couple more models to come out before we, the average person really starts looking at investing in, getting a Bitcoin miner? Because I'll be honest with you, I really want to get that S19. I do have the infrastructure to run 2 of these at the house. My fiance is going to hate me because it's right underneath our bedroom. Sounds like a Greyhound bus going through the house. No joke. But I'm kind of waiting to see, how these hardware prices shake out. But if anybody's new to mining that's listening to this, that's looking to get in, just the only thing I could say is just, set aside a budget that you're comfortable with and stick to the plan. Don't try to, overbuild, or, if you get some, ridiculous amount of profits, that's, be happy with those profits, but don't try to, just overbuild yourself and overinvest so much money. And I think that, granted that we have another altcoin, I think that, like I said, the altcoin market, based on what I was talking with Jeremy about, I think that the altcoin market will probably come before the Bitcoin will, because it did the last time too. The altcoins were going crazy and people were just buying them and they were just going up and nobody even knows the reason. But I think that, if I was a large whale investor, it's like, okay, are we going to pump the price of Bitcoin, or are we going to start looking at these altcoins where the order book is so thin that we can take 0.25 Bitcoin, trigger a breakout, and boom, next thing you know, all it takes is, we know how these things work. All it takes is 3 or 4 altcoins like XVG or some kind of weird stuff to go up in price. And then next thing you know, it's altcoin season and every coin's going up.
Every time. So the trading groups are like drooling for altcoin season. That's all you hear when it's like a sideways quiet market. It's, oh, I can't wait for alt season. Oh, I can't wait for alt season. So really, like, on a sentiment level, like, anything will trigger the trading groups to start chatter about alt season, but nothing more so than mining, nothing more so than the math and the actual, like, proof of work behind it, because when you can show people data, that's what gets them really excited. Everything else is just conjecture or potential propaganda.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Dustin, any final thoughts here on the halving as we're kind of going into watch and wait mode?
No, I mean, just, you know, I'm just being patient, waiting on the sidelines. I still think that there's, you know, plenty of time to get into mining if you're looking to get into it. But, you know, the one word of advice is if the market starts running up really high and the profits are there, just be careful trying to enter the market. Like, I would feel more comfortable trying to convince somebody to enter the market now versus later when everything's 3 or 4 times the price of what it is right now, you know? So
yeah, it's important.
That's really it on that. So
awesome. Well, thank you so much, Dustin. We appreciate it. We're